me set it back straight so that I can actually sew on it. We pressed our 48 inches in on both sides. We pressed it into the wrong side. And step 2 is that we have folded in 2 in figure 2 on your instructions, and we have folded it to the 38 inch sides together. So we have our pins along that length for figure 2, and the instructions are for us to make a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and so you'll determine where 1/2 of an inch is on your sewing machine throat plate. It has little marks on it, and for me it's just the edge of my foot. Now when I'm sewing, I have my pin cushion here and I put my pins in it because there's only one rule in sewing that's a must, important, so that you can keep loving to sew, and that is do not run over pins. Now then, you'll take your thread and put it in the slit of your foot and take it to the left of your machine. Put your fabric that you folded in half and have it evenly matched, and you set your presser foot down with this lever and lay your finger on the thread so that it doesn't jerk it back through, and you've got your foot ready to go on your electrical pedal that's in the floor. Left hand here, right hand here, and on some machines you can slow it way down. So for the sake of showing you, I'll slow that way down, and you just press the pedal in the floor, get it going, stop. Now my little machine has a needle down option, which I've employed, and then it has a reverse button. Once again, use your manual to find out where that is for you. I can press that, and notice it backs up. This is called back tacking or back stitching. It'll ensure that your fabric won't come unsewn. So then you go back at it and you sew all the way along that. I'm going to stop and speed mine up, okay? I have the license for it. I've earned it. Making sure they match. Go all the way off the edge. It's nice if your machine, you can slow way down at the end. Okay, it's at the end. Press your reverse and let it go back a few stitches. Now, with the needle down, I have the option to press it up and it'll go to its highest level. If your machine doesn't do that, use your wheel and turn it towards you until your needle is at its highest position, because that's going to ensure that the top and bottom threads are not halfway engaged. Then you can pull it out and cut it with your cutter, or keep your little snips nearby and cut it that way, and just keep your little threads all trimmed off. And there you go. You've got your first seam done on your project. Now, step 2 or figure 2 also tells us to take this and turn it inside out, because you now have made a tube. And your seam that you just made is going to be up there at the top, and we're going to go to the ironing board, and press that nice and flat. And we're also going to go down here and press it where we folded it in half. But now our tube fabric is a tube. Okay, we've turned our tube inside out. And we are on step 3, figure 3. And this is the seam we just made. We turned our tube inside out. And then we smoothed everything out in this step 3, figure 3. And we came over here, and what I like to do is I like to take and finger press this seam. I've already ironed it, so that's why it's laying so flat. And I like to take it and roll it over there to it, so I can get it right on there, and then I can press it the length of our tube. So we have our seam allowance up here, and our folded edge down here, and our tube has been pressed flat all over. Everybody can always do an excellent job with pressing and clipping their threads, because we're all about loving our sewing and taking time to do fine sewing with our fun lessons, and we can avoid getting frustrated. All right, so now we've got step 3, figure 3 figured out. Now we're done with step 3, and we have our nice tube all fixed up. So we're done with step 3, and we're on to step 4. And we are going to leave this seamed edge alone, and we're going to come down here to our folded edge. There's no seam down here, and we're going to turn it up per our instructions in figure 4, and it tells us to turn our case. This is going to be our casing, and we're going to turn it down 1.5 inches. And so we can use our ruler, and we can get started by using that it's nice firm edge down here, and get our 1.5 inches started. And so this is figure 4. So you'll see my figure 4 pins, and we'll do that all the way down so that we can get a nice neat 1.5 inch casing. And we'll pin all the way down. Now, I have my padded table, so I have to be kind of careful or I'll end up pinning it to it. But here we go. 1.5 inches. You can also take a marker and mark it. I just really love using a nice hard ruler, knowing that it will be exactly accurate. But you could also take it like this and come along here with your marking. Let me read you get it. I'm coming right back. Here I am. Okay, 1.5 inches. And you can make a mark. And you can make a mark all along. Or you can turn it this way and read your ruler at 1.5 inches. And make a nice long mark. Whichever one you like. Whichever works for you. So you can bend it over a ruler and pin it, or you can take it and use your marker and mark it, and then fold it down to that line, and then put your pins in it per the instructions on figure 4. Yep, I'm about to pin it to my table again. So, you've pinned down the length of it, and we're going to press it into place. All the way down. Don't go over top of your pins, unless you've got glass-headed pins, they'll mount. So be sure not to iron those. They're not wrinkled. Okay. Alright. Happy with that. And technically, you don't even have to if you just want to pin them. I just like to do a lot of pressing. Makes for a really nice finish. Alright, now we have folded our folded edge up 1.5 inches, and now we're going to go to our sewing machine and stitch along this edge all the way. So meet me at your sewing machine. Alright, so we don't get confused, which we can do easy enough. These 4 pins, number 4 pins, are for figure 4. In step 3, it tells us to fold it up that 1.5 inches for our casing. We did in step 2 and figure 2 and figure 3 all the other seam and turning it inside out and pressing it. Okay, so once again, to avoid trouble, we take our top and bottom thread over here to the left. It's been put through this little slot there in your foot, and you set your machine up. And once again, you need to make a decision as to where your eye is going to be. So you can set your foot down on the machine, and like I can put my eye on this edge of the foot, and it'll travel along this edge. Therefore, I'm not watching the needle go up and down. I'm keeping my eye on the foot and the edge of this fabric. So, my finger is on the thread that is off to the left. I get started. 1, 2, 3. I stop. I back tack or reverse back to that edge. So my fabric pieces don't come apart. My machine has the setting for the needle to always stop in the down position. Left hand here, right hand over here, and all I need to do is guide this along, not pull, because there's feed dogs that will carry the fabric through. Alright, don't watch the needle, watch that foot and the edge of your fabric, okay? We don't run over needles. We can set that over here. Straighten it out nicely, and away we go. And you've got figure 4 finished. Alright? Alright. So we just made our casing. We can trim our threads, keep those trimmed so that your project stays nice and neat. There we go. Got them cut at the beginning and the end. And you have made your casing for drawing it up. It's alright to give it another little press. Keep things looking nice. And our next step is to go to step 4, figure 5, and it has us fold our project in half. Our casing is at the top. Our fold line is over here. And we're putting these 2 edges together of our tube. We're folding our tube in half again the other direction. Makes it nice and firm to have that much fabric. Okay, now in figure 5, step 4, it has us stitch these two open sides together. So the instructions have us start right here and go all the way down and across. So you might feel more comfortable with some pins in place, and this will also remind you not to start at the top, but rather right there at the casing, and then go all the way down to the bottom. Let me pull my pins a little closer here. Figure 5 pins. Just a couple pins. Won't need much. And you're going to sew the two sides down here and across the bottom. And here at the bottom we'll sew all the way to where our folded edge is. But we'll let that be the stopping point because there's nowhere else to go. Just across the bottom. This is figure 5. So back to the sewing machine. Alright, we're back at the sewing machine and we're doing a figure 5, step 4, and we're going to start right here and sew down and across the bottom. So we're going to slip this up underneath our sewing machine and we're going to set our foot down. And let's let just the edge of our foot stick off. We're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch all the way around and catch all those layers. And the big no-no is we don't sew across our pin, so that pin comes out. We've let our presser foot down. We're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch. On my sewing machine, that means it's going to be inside the edge of this foot. I'm going to push my needle down position so it holds it in place while I get it all tidy. And my thread is over here to the left. And I'm going to lay my finger on that for a couple of stitches. And then I'm going to stop and back tack, knowing that that will secure my fabric and will not let it come apart under reasonable wear and tear. So here we go. We're going to sew up the side and the bottom per the instructions on step 4, figure 5. Keep on coming. Get pretty close. And this is going to be called a pivot. Needle is down. We're going to put our presser foot up. We're going to turn our materials. Oop, looks like I need to go one more stitch. So let me go one more stitch. I will turn my wheel towards me for a full revolution of the machine. The machine will go down. Alright, the needle will go down. And then I lift my presser foot again. And I turn it and I go, okay, now it's where I want so that the two sides will be even. And I'm ready to start again across the bottom. You may have to give it just a minute to grab and pull the feed dogs because that's a lot of fabric right there in that corner. Alright, come on up to the end. Back tack. Needle up. Press your foot up. Thread pulled out. Across your cutters or trimmed with your scissors. And we're back to the table, and our bag is a bag. It's all sewed up. Okay? Let's go back and see what the next step is.